Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today is kind of both, really. This is a game called Water Ski School. It was a 1985 public domain release, written by Steve Hind as part of a competition at the Nottingham Micro Club. And the game was subsequently published as a type-in listing in issue 23 of Page 6 magazine, and as with many type-in listings of the era, was actually the cover star of the magazine. Now the reason I say it's both is I don't remember ever actually typing this in, but I remember sort of reading through the listing and finding out a bit about the game, but I don't think I ever actually typed it in for myself. Now, interestingly, Hind actually returned to this game in 2000 after rediscovering his original Atari equipment and emulators, and he reassembled the game with some additional features, rebranding it to Water Ski School 2 by Sherwood Software in reference to his hometown of Nottingham. But we'll be taking a look at the original type-in listing version of it today. So, let's go play Water Ski School.
Okay, here we are with Water Ski School by Steve Hind from the Nottingham Micro Club. Also published as a type-in listing in Page 6 magazine, as I said in the intro. So, this is a fairly simple game, but it's got a certain addictive quality to it. It's also a monstrously difficult game as well, but it's quite an imaginative take on the sort of, I guess you'd call it dodge 'em up gameplay. So, as you can see on the screen, it says jump ramps for higher levels, press button to control boat, release button to control skier. So the concept of this game is that you're controlling both a water skier and the boat that is towing them along. And you need to make sure that they both survive for as long as possible. The longer you survive, the more jumps you do, the more points you get. That's about it, basically. So, fairly sort of standard procedure for type-in listings was to provide sort of arcade-style gameplay that could be potentially endless and just wrap around and gradually get more and more difficult and so on. And this is a fine example of that. I am terrible at this game, by the way, so I expect each session to be no more than a couple of seconds long. Right, let's begin. Get ready. Whoops. Okay. So, as it said at the start, you hold down the fire button to control the boat and let go of the fire button to control the skier. And you want to try and get the skier going over those pink ramps. While both the boat and the skier avoid all the obstacles in the river. Whoops. But you've got to be careful to do things like not allow the boat to collide into the ramps. You've got to not move... Whoops. Not move the boat while... Game over already, there we go. You've got to do things like not move the boat while the skier is in the air and that sort of thing. So yeah, it takes a fair bit of getting used to. Whoops. But it's actually quite a rewarding game once you get a feel for it. And you might notice that the layout of the river is actually the same each time rather than being procedurally generated. So you can learn this game. You can memorize this game. You can know what is coming up next and be ready for it. You see, if the boat moves far enough, he will actually drag the water skier with him. So you can use that as a sort of alternative means of control, if you like. But it doesn't work the other way around. If the skier can't pull the boat along. Right, come on. I've got 700 points that time, so that's slightly better. Right, you go around there. Let's just skip that ramp there. Just get round all this stuff here. Oh, log in the way. That was better. You get 100 points for each ramp you jump from the look of things. And no actual points for making progress up the river. So if you do want to get those decent scores, you do actually have to... Whoops! Take some risks and go for the ramps. We've got 900 points now. wonder how you clear a level. It said on the title screen that you jump ramps to increase level, but... Uh-oh. Oh dear. Oh no. 1,300 points. That's a definite improvement though. Jump ramps for higher levels. So I guess you have to jump like a certain number of ramps without dying to increase the level maybe. There's one. Oops. Again. 1, 2. Three. This would be fun with 2 players, actually. I wonder if that's one of the enhancements that Steve Hine did in his early 2000s reimagining of this game. Like I say, I did specifically want to look at the original version of this today, because this is the one I remember seeing numerous times when flipping through old back issues of page 6. And as I've said a few times on this series, I did spend a lot of my early life with the Atari 8-bit typing in listings from magazines. For one reason or another, this is one that I never actually got around to doing for some reason. Not sure why. It's not that it didn't appeal or anything like that, it's just one I didn't get around to, I guess. In my defence, I did type in some of the most legendary type-in listings from page 6. Gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Ooh, that was good timing, wasn't it? Yeah, I did type in some of the most legendary type-in listings from page 6. Like, one of my proudest achievements of the Atari 8-bit era. One of my proudest achievements of that period was typing in Munchie Madness, which was widely regarded at the time as one of page 6's best type-in listings. And indeed, possibly one of the best type-in listings of all time. Even if, and controversial statement here, even if the game itself was a bit of a Boulder Dash ripoff. Munchie Madness was cool though, and the fact that, like, in a subsequent issue, they then went and published a construction set for it as well. That was really cool. So you can make your own levels for it, save them to disk, and make your own custom versions of Munchie Madness. Of course, one could also argue that that was also following the mould of Boulder Dash, since Boulder Dash also had a construction set, but, you know, if you're going to crib from something, you may as well crib from something good. And if you would argue that... Oh, no. Oh, well, that's mean. If you would argue that Boulder Dash is good. Because Boulder Dash is a wonderful game. And they keep trying to resurrect it in various forms. And it just never quite matches the magic of the Atari 8-bit version for me. Oh, that's nice. Oh wow, we survived long enough for the music to loop. Uh-oh. Go on, get up there. And there. Still haven't gained a level. Oh, no, we've done it. Level 2. Oh my god. It's like double the speed. Oh, I think it might actually be the same arrangement though. Oh, Jesus Christ, that is impossible. Wow. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh, no, I've done it again. Got to remember not to move the boat while the skier is on the ramp. Because that causes immediate death. Right, you get over there. You get further over there. Nicely done. Oh. Yeah, you basically got to remember two things with this if you're going to memorize the levels. You got to remember where the boat needs to go and where the skier needs to go, because those two things aren't necessarily the same thing. In fact, they're not the same thing, are they? Because the boat doesn't go over the ramps and the skier does. Oh no! But you have to consider which side of the ramps the boat is going to go through. Whether it's going to pass by on the left or the right hand side. Because that is important. Because otherwise you run into situations like that. Where you hit a jump and then the boat has a log in the way almost immediately afterwards. Uh-oh. The track mode. Someone didn't poke whatever it is you need to poke to make that not happen. Hit the key and that goes away. A common mistake. Yeah, if you've not come across that before, the Atari 8-bit had a built-in screensaver of sorts, which was known as Attract mode, after the Attract mode of arcade machines. But really, it cycled through colours to ensure that the TV was updating and the images wouldn't get burned into it. And that was default behaviour of the Atari 8-bit. That was built into the operating system of the Atari 8-bit. And interestingly, there wasn't a way to actually turn that off altogether. Instead, what you had to do was, at regular intervals in your program, you had to basically reset the timer that was counting up towards that starting to happen. And in basic programs, you achieve that by poking a particular value of memory. And just inserting the value of 0 into that particular location in memory. And that would reset the timer and ensure that Attract mode never happened. But it was an easy thing to forget. And so there's plenty of otherwise competent games for the Atari 8-bit. Where if you have a particularly good PlayStation, you'll find the colours starting to cycle round and round. Oh no. The last time we saw it on here, I think, was Hover Bother by Jeff Minter. Yeah, it's a very distinctive and iconic feature of the Atari 8-bit, if you like. Right, that's... Uh-oh. Too far. Are you sick of this music yet? Oh dear. Right. Couple more goes. Because given the speed that level 2 appears to be going at, I suspect we're not going to be getting much further than what we're seeing here. know, I'm quite enjoying this game. It's a fun little arcade style thing. It's very simple and straightforward, but then I would tend to expect nothing more from a type-in listing, to be perfectly honest, whether or not it was a machine code one. I think this was a machine code one. I forget offhand. Judging by the sort of the smooth scrolling and the nice performance of it and the smooth sprite movement and that sort of thing, I suspect it is a machine code one. But then there were people who could work absolute miracles with Atari Basic as well, so... If you're someone from the modern audience who's not sure what I'm talking about there... Basically, the difference is... Basic was the language built into the Atari computers, or which came on a cartridge in the case of the early Atari computers. Which is what we call an interpreted language, where you type in stuff that is easily human readable. So it has words and statements and things in it that, as long as you know sort of the syntax of it, you can figure out what it's doing just by reading it. And machine code, on the other hand, is talking directly to the computer and addressing particular parts of its memory, of its hardware, and all that sort of thing. And as you might expect, machine code is a much more efficient way of coding things because you're talking directly to the computer. It's not something that people tend to program in these days because we have so much in the way of APIs and stuff like that to address particular pieces of hardware or internet services or all that sort of thing that there's really no need to do that anymore. So anyone programming in machine code or assembler these days is pretty rare. It also has the downside that when you write something in assembler or machine code, you are writing that specifically for that type of hardware, which is something you could do back in the Atari 8-bit era because all the Atari 8-bits were mostly the same. There would be variations between the different models in terms of how much memory they had and what hardware they had access to and that sort of thing, but for the most part, if you prodded a particular bit of the Atari 8-bit's memory, it would do something specific regardless of whether it was an early Atari 400 or one of the later Atari 130XEs. There were exceptions, of course, and that's why certain games will only work on the old Ataris or will only work on the newer Ataris. But yeah, that was sort of surprisingly commonplace back in the Atari 8-bit era. It's kind of unthinkable now with all the myriad programming languages that are out there now and how efficient most of those are. But yeah, in the days of the Atari 8-bit, it was not at all uncommon for people to write programs using assembly language in order to effectively directly address particular parts of the Atari hardware. And for me, that will always seem like black magic. It's a skill you can learn like any other. There's lots of comprehensive guides on how to program the Atari and what different pieces of hardware and parts of memory control which parts of things you might want to achieve on the screen. But yeah, it's something I never learned back in the day. I got quite good at basic programming at one point, but assembler always just seemed a little bit too daunting for me. It was just a little bit too abstract. With basic, I could always sort of relate the things I was typing to what I would then expect to happen on the screen. Like if I typed plot 0.0, I understood that that meant it was going to plot a point on the screen at coordinates 0, 0. Now, I don't even know how you would achieve that using machine code or assembly language, but I'm sure it's not as simple as saying plot 0, 0. And so, yeah, I was always sort of quietly in awe of those people who knew how to program in machine code. And the fact that publications like Page 6 and Analog and Antic and so on, they had regular contributors who seemingly every single month were putting out new pieces of software that they were happy to distribute for free with these magazines as type-in listings. Just purely for the joy of sharing their work. Perhaps getting some recognition for it. I'm sure if you are looking to score yourself a position at a software company, it certainly wouldn't hurt your chances if you could say that you'd had... Oh no! It certainly wouldn't hurt your chances to say you'd had work published in a national magazine or a book or something like that. But equally, there were just as many people out there who were just enthusiasts. They just did it because it was fun. And they weren't trying to sort of get anything out of it. They just made games for their family and friends or the community at large. Oh, I can't do that anymore. Right, last try. Last try, because we've been at this for 20 minutes and making absolutely no progress whatsoever. Right, over there. Over there. We got this beginning bit nailed. Oh no! But anyway, as you can probably tell, I think back on those days with enormous fondness. I mean, I was a bit young to be sort of directly involved with a lot of it. But I've talked about my dad and my brother attending the local Atari clubs and contributing to Page 6 magazine, and we always got Page 6 and Atari user in every month. Oh. Why can't I do that bit anymore? I did it fine that one time. That one time. You remember that one time. That one glorious time. Right, up and over there. Oh, we get the track mode again. Right, I'm gonna nail it this time. Watch this. Alright. You go over here, then we both go over here. And then you go over there and avoid that boat. And then you sneaky over there. Sneaky around the boaty, and we go jumpy on the rampy. And everything is good. And the music loops. And... Hup. Oh no! I think I've reached my limit on that. But anyway, that was Water Ski School, and more incoherent ramblings about type-in listings and the culture of the Atari 8-bit back in the 80s. So, hope you enjoyed that. So I certainly did. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.